Hello everyone and welcome back to Crochet Delight. I'm Barbara and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make the honeycomb stitch. This is a Tunisian hook. This one is size 10 or a 6mm. It's a Susan Bates hook. I've got my yarn ready to go. I've got my scissors for when I'm done. So go grab your hook, go grab your yarn, and let's get started, shall we? Alright, so with this stitch, all you need to do is add any amount of stitches onto your hook. So, I just did 15 stitches, and as you can see, it is a chain. With Tunisian crochet, you first make a chain, and then you go into the stitch, and the stitch that is on your hook always counts as the first stitch in Tunisian crochet. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a base row, and the base row in Tunisian crochet is always the same. You're going to go into not this chain, but the next one, and you're going to pull up a loop, and there you go. That's your second stitch. Go into the next one, pull up a loop, there's your next stitch. And you're going to do that all the way down your chain. So, go ahead and put all your loops on your hook, and I'll show you guys what to do next. So I have all the loops on my hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the next step, and this will actually complete the base row. The base row, and every row there is a return row to complete it. So to complete this, scrunch all your stitches up, yarn over, pull through one stitch, and then yarn over, pull through two stitches, yarn over, pull through two, and then pull through two, and do that all the way down until you get to the very end. Be careful not to get three like that, or else you'll end up with a really wonky pattern. You'll just mess up if you grab 3 stitches instead of 2 when you do the reverse row, and I have had that done, but when I go back through I notice it, and you can easily fix it, and I'll show you how to fix that on the next row, well, on the next reverse row actually. So for this pattern, now that we have the base row, what you guys need to do is you need to know the simple stitch and the purl stitch for Tunisian crochet. If you don't, I will leave the link to both of those stitches from my channel in the description box below. But I will also be showing you guys exactly what's what. So, to make it simple, I'm going to count the first stitch as a Tunisian simple stitch. So to do a purl stitch, bring your yarn in front, hold that down, go into your next stitch so that you're going to pull up a loop, let that yarn go, hold it right there, pull up a loop, and your yarn will be right in front, like right there. Now do a simple stitch, which is your yarn is behind your hook, you go into the next stitch, and you pull up a loop. Now you do another purl stitch, and once you get used to it, you'll pretty much know how to do the purl and the knit stitch automatically. And that's what you're going to do, is you're going to alternate between the knit stitch and the purl stitch throughout this entire thing. But you're not just going to be alternating in one row, you're going to be alternating rows themselves. So go ahead and do the knit and the purl stitches all the way until the very end. And it doesn't matter what stitch you have right here at the second to last stitch, the very last stitch, to make it nice and secure. I go right through to the back and pull up a loop. Now what you're going to do is you're going to reverse the row, and you're always going to reverse it the same way. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you pull through 3, if you catch it right then, you can automatically reverse it. But if you don't catch it right then, which I'm going to pull through 3, and see these two right here, I'm going to leave those just so that you guys can see how to catch it in the next row. And it gets pretty confusing when you go to catch it in the honeycomb stitch. So you're going to reverse the row all the way to the end. And what you'll notice is the stitch that you used in the first one, not this one, but this one right here, was a purl stitch. You're going to do a knit stitch. And then in the next one where you did a knit stitch, you're going to do a purl stitch. So, whoops, almost did another purl. See, you end up catching it once you know the stitch. It's a knit stitch and a purl stitch. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through all of these all the way to the end, just alternating between the knit stitch and the purl stitch. And in the next row, wherever you have a purl stitch in the previous row, you're going to put a knit stitch, and wherever you have a knit stitch, you'll put a purl stitch. And now we're at that point where I yarned over and pulled through 3 loops. Well, what stitch did I just do? I did a purl. So my next one, if you notice it, you'll go into that 1 and pull it up. There's my knit stitch. Super easy. And if you notice it, there you go, right into that same stitch, pull up a loop, and there you go, you have your purl stitch, and then knit stitch, and then always in the last stitch, you'll go through both loops on the side. And what will happen is on both sides you'll have this look of a chain, kind of like your starting chain, and it'll be on the sides, and that's always a good thing. It keeps it nice and straight on this side, and it's actually a little stronger. So now just reverse the row, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and just go all the way to the end. Whoops. I'm moving my camera, and I'm not even touching it. All the way to the end, and you can actually see the stitch starting to form. So, again, if you did a knit stitch in the row before, which now you're starting a new row, you're going to do a purl stitch. If you did a purl stitch in the row before, you're doing a knit stitch, and then a purl, and then a knit. I mean simple stitch. I keep calling it the knit stitch, but there is actually a real knit stitch. Okay. I am messing up all on my own. Alright. Simple stitch, purl stitch, simple stitch, purl stitch, simple stitch, purl stitch, simple stitch, and lastly purl stitch, and then go through both loops at the very end and pull up a loop. And there you have it. That is the Tunisian honeycomb stitch. You just repeat that all the way until you have completed your project, and there you go. You'll have this little like stop sign sort of look to it. It looks more like chainmail to me than a honeycomb stitch, but that's just me. So there you have it. That's how you make the honeycomb stitch. So go ahead and leave a comment down below, share the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And have a delightful day and happy hooking, everyone!